Hi fam, I am Chef Leah Delight DiBernardo. Welcome to At the Table, our new weekly podcast where we invite thought-provoking guests to gather around the table to talk about good food, community, and everything in between. My pup Remy and I are happy you're here. For our listeners, just as a reminder, and our guest, we do have a service poodle running around the studio, so if you hear a little puppy shake, or if you hear us talking, you know what's going on. And I'm not even going to say her name right now because she's sleeping quite gently to the left of me. But I am so happy to be at the table today with one of my dear friends and such an incredible human being. And I don't say this lightly. I'm not saying to embarrass you, but it's so accurate. CEO of Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley is Miss Tammy Marine.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Leah, for inviting me. And when you invited me to your podcast, I was not surprised because every time I turn around, you're into something else and inspiring all of us. So it's just really a delight to be with you today.
And I like that she says delight, Leah Delight. So that is my middle name, and there's always a funny around that. But speaking about being into things, you're an avid meditator and a big traveler. And I didn't know this about you. And I want to should we start with, am I being sarcastic right now? Should we start with an Om?
With the Om. Actually, so I am a lifetime meditator, but not necessarily in that perspective, although I appreciate every pathway to meditation. I actually went to a school in Colorado that had one of the first biofeedback labs. So as a young 20-something, I learned the scientific side of how meditation can change the way we think, the way we respond to stress, all those different things. So while is a pathway, and I especially respect the Middle East or the philosophy around it and embrace that too. But really, my pathway came as just a practicality. A curious college student that wanted to go into this really cool biofeedback lab and learn all the ins and outs. And when I realized how impactful it is and how we can control our mind and our responses to stress, it was really intriguing to me. So I've used it as a tool my whole life.
Okay. So can you just walk us through it? I mean, I am not an avid meditator, so it's, can you just is it,
I don't do that part of it.
Okay.
That's just me.
That's
another method to get to meditation. Really, my goal is to quiet my mind and to empty my brain of all the junk and the negativity.
Well, don't do that right now because we want you to not empty your brain at the top of the show.
I won't empty my brain right now. But actually, so biofeedback in the way that I was taught is that you are hooked up to all kinds of probes that monitor your blood pressure, your heart rate, your body temperature, all of those different things. And that was a practice in a couple of classes that I took. And it gave me the realization that when we really focus on clearing the mind, how impactful it can be as a modality, a health modality, to be honest.
Did you do meditation while you were doing biofeedback? Because I'm familiar with biofeedback and I think it's absolutely fantastic for the human body and what it can clear out.
I started with biofeedback, but as I got more and more hooked on it, I didn't need the gadgets anymore. And so now all I need is literally nothing. I just need a space that's quiet, and I just close my eyes and I kind of go within. I try to eliminate thoughts and just sort of have a 20-minute period as many times a week as I possibly can. And it really helps to strengthen your brain in a way so that when you're handling stress, you can handle it in a much more healthy way.
So it's even good for the cognitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so now I have a question for you because I know how busy you are as the CEO of Habitat for Humanity and everything that you do and what you sponsor and the different stores you open. And we're going to get into all of that for our listeners and unpack it. But I have to ask you, where is the most interesting place or maybe the funniest place that you ever had to stop and just get some meditation done? Because I know, because our days can be so busy. Like
Yeah.
I could, or you're traveling, I could just see you like running into, hey, do you have a supply closet? I need to borrow your supply closet.
It's funny because I've done it so long that I can literally meditate anywhere. And sometimes without people even knowing it. I can meditate on a plane, any kind of thing. But sometimes it's not really using it as a modality in the moment. It's more forward thinking. So maybe in the morning, I'll sit down and have a quiet period of time to kind of get my head around things. And that just helps. So when those moments come, I don't need an emergency brake. I'm just more prepared to handle those ups and downs in the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely makes sense. But I don't know why I have this image in my head of you in a supply closet meditating. Maybe because it's just funny, and we all know that I'm a dork, and I know you're used to that with me.
Yeah.
Speaking of being a dork, I recently discovered about you, and I say that in a funny way because Tammy Marine and I have known each other for 20 years,
close
right?
to 20, I would say.
How
so.
lovely is that?
That is neat.
So lovely.
Yeah.
But I feel like a bit of a dork when I learned something that I feel like I should have known. Like, you are an avid traveler. And I mean, I've seen Instagram photos, right? And I love that because I'm so into like, where are you going for food? Where are you traveling? What's going on in your life? And I feel like I should have known this, but like, I got a list from you, and like, you travel, you're a worldwide traveler.
I've been very blessed to have experienced a lot of different countries and a lot of different cultures around the world, but I'm not nearly done. And Habitat for Humanity has helped me in some capacity because we do global trips in 70 countries around the world. So sometimes we send local teams to go out and build houses in third world countries around the world. But I have also done exploring on my own. And so it's just a wonderful, exciting part of my life to feel like I get to connect to things outside my day-to-day and learn from different cultures around the world.
There's so much I want to know. There's just so much I want to know, like right now. I'm just going to start firing questions at you. All right. So you get to travel on your own accord, but you also get to travel, or not really get to travel. You travel with and for Habitat for Humanity. Sometimes. Okay. And I see that. That makes so much sense to me, but let's break it apart. Let's unpack it for our listeners.
Okay.
Let's start with, what is Habitat for Humanity?
So Habitat for Humanity is an affordable housing developer, and we improve living conditions and provide homeownership opportunities for low-income families. So really, we serve working class families that can't quite get to that homeowner path. And it is my belief, it is our belief at Habitat, that homeownership helps to change the trajectory of families' lives long term. It provides intergenerational wealth that can be passed on, and it helps improve every aspect of a person's life. And so we provide a pathway there to help working families get there.
That is beautiful. I love that on so many levels. And Habitat for Humanity, so it is worldwide, and in Southern California, Habitat for Humanity, Inland Valley, correct?
Yes, Inland Valley.
Is there just one? I'm just curious, for Riverside County, San Diego, and is that what you what you had?
There's a few in Riverside County, but we serve Southwest Riverside County, so the 9 cities of Southwest Riverside County. But there's also a Riverside affiliate, Coachella Valley. There's some other affiliates in the county, but we primarily are this side of the county, which is the 9 cities.
So there's a lot going on with Habitat for Humanity. It's not like, oh, we're a worldwide organization, we have a few places here and there. And I mean, I want to, because he's one of my favorite humans, Jimmy Carter. Right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Did Jimmy Carter start Habitat?
He did not start, but he was one of the first volunteers, not the first, but one of the first volunteers, and just a lifelong supporter of the mission. And him and Rosalind were amazing, inspirational, and just so instrumental to the development of Habitat for Humanity.
So Habitat also build houses from the ground. We build houses from the ground up. Well, not we, but
Right.
from the ground up, right?
Right. We build houses from the ground up, but we also buy houses and rehab them. That's another side of our program. But the other thing that's really important that we're doing right now and have been for quite some time is that we repair homes, because we know with the housing crisis is really a math problem. It's a lack of units. And so we live in a society where demand drives price. And because we don't have enough units, that's why housing is so expensive. And so it's kind of a duality with us that we're trying to create brand new units, but also repair the units that we already have. So preserve the housing stock that's in existence. In turn, that helps seniors to be able to age in place longer. That's a huge part of our program. And then the other thing I failed to mention, two things actually, is that we also provide education. So we can help families maybe not get into a habitat house, but find a pathway to homeownership through education and self-improvement of their finances so they can get to where they want to go.
So you're learning a lot.
Yeah.
In a way, it's not just about a home. It's also about, hey, we're going to give you some really valuable insight and some education about how to budget and how to maybe even upcycle.
Right. Right.
I mean, repair work is so wonderful because it's like, why do we have to create more actually? Why can't we repair and restore?
Yeah. Well, we need to create more because there aren't enough units to accommodate our population in the United States overall, but especially in Southern California.
That's crazy.
But repairing. So there was a Harvard study that came out last year that talked about the number of units that were eliminated because of disrepair, because sometimes low-income families, senior citizens in many cases, can't make the major repairs, and that can cause a unit to go into a state of no return, for lack of a better word. And so being involved in that home repair side is really important to us too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting. It's like you think that you know so much about a nonprofit and an organization, and then you start really talking about it.
Yeah.
And there's so much there.
Yeah.
So you know a lot about me, and I'm learning so much more about you. And this podcast, I really, in my heart of hearts, wanted to start this podcast, at the table because of how I was raised.
Yeah.
Right. So, I'm really big into, we're talking about generational wealth. We're talking about homes. We're talking about, from seniors to new families. Right. And it makes so much sense to me to then kind of circle into what this podcast is about and ask you a key question.
Yeah.
Is, if you think back to your childhood and how you were raised in the home you were in, what is or do you have like a favorite story of the table or a memory around that table with your family or your mom or your daughter?
Yeah. Well, when I think about my childhood and some of those most important memories, what I really think about is time with my extended families at the holidays, just this celebration of food and tradition and people coming together with so much love. Sometimes a lot of chaos, always the kids' table, and but just so much love and warmth. And so I hold those memories really close, and they're important to me as a leader, also with Habitat for Humanity, because we create home and provide a pathway to that. And so, yeah, those memories of food and celebration and recipes that went down from the generations are really important.
Give us one. Give us one of your favorite recipes.
Oh my gosh.
Or dishes. It doesn't have to be a recipe.
Well, I have two things going on because I'm married now, and obviously.
Okay.
And my husband is Italian, and so he has a lot of dishes that have been kind of infiltrated into our...
How did I not know this? I'm just like, my hands are just going to start waving around me, like, because you just said,
yeah,
I married an Italian. How did I not know this?
I know. I thought you did know it, actually.
Gosh.
Yeah.
We're all so busy. We don't have time to catch up. Okay, so you married an Italian.
So we have in our own family, we have a lot of memories of him making his Italian sauce and Italian beef. He's from Chicago.
He's Chicago.
Yeah. And so those kind of things are really important. It takes him full day to make his family recipe, and he takes such pride in it, and it's amazing.
Guys.
Yeah. Oh, that would be really
just
fun.
forget it. That's got to happen.
Yeah. And on my own family side, some of the memories from childhood are, there were a lot of German kind of dishes and dumplings, chicken and dumplings, and those kind
German
of things.
and Italian. I'm sorry, Tammy Marine. I'm just going to say, don't know how those two would mix.
I know, right?
Well, at least from a recipe standpoint.
Yeah.
Sauerkraut and frickin' marinara. Like, what are you going to do there?
I know. Well, I will say that Italian dominates our household now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's the dominant gene in the house for sure.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also I'm so intrigued, what you said about the table and building homes. It'd be so interesting. I hope you don't kill me for saying this. If Habitat added a table, like before people move into the house, like when you're building homes, like having
like a symbolic kind of gesture to, because the heart of the home really is the kitchen and coming together and eating.
The heart of the home.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a cool idea, actually.
Right?
We probably could do that.
I love what comes out of homes and families and heritage from the stories of the table and how we connect through food.
Yeah,
it's just, and that's a moment actually that you and I really had during COVID. You had contacted me and nobody knew what was going to happen, right? We're all like, oh, what do I do? What steps do I take? And Tammy had called me on behalf of Habitat for Humanity and said, hey, we need boxes of fresh food for our senior community. And that was that really impacted my life and quite, not in a big way, because it allowed me to think beyond my own immediate needs and concerns and worries of what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to our family, because nobody knew, like, oh, we're closing all restaurants. And you're just like, it was so robotic. Like we didn't know what step to take, right? Or all of us were freaked out. Well, at least a great many of us were freaked out. But that call allowed me to stop.
Yeah.
And to really think beyond myself. And I have to thank you for that. I don't think I ever really thanked you for that. But then having you and community members and volunteers, and, it was so interesting having all these people, staying away from each other, right? That proper distancing and masks. But
I forgot about that. Right.
100.
Right.
I think at one point we had 100 boxes.
Yeah. Right. We we held a contract with the county because we were the same way as a Habitat affiliate. We didn't know how we were going to sustain, but we wanted to play a role in what was going on in a way that was most helpful. And so we got a contract with the county. And actually, I don't know if I ever shared the numbers with you, but we ended up delivering 7,500 boxes of food over that period of time. We had, you were our primary vendor here, and then we had others as well. And it was just an amazing experience. They were to seniors and people that were had some disability or challenge. And so I felt really good that our collective energy was able to help sustain people during a very vulnerable time. And
it's the meditation, man. It grounded you.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just fear of survival. But the other thing I was thinking about, and this is true with you too, and it's a huge pat on your back, is that we really had to instantaneously recreate a brand new business model during that period of time.
100%.
And that was not an easy lift. I mean, I remember some of the staff and I in the beginning, as we were developing that opportunity and that program, we basically just worked until it was time to go to sleep, and then we'd sleep for a few hours and get up and start all over. It was just an incredible labor of love, but we kept our staff working, and you did too.
So I remember the faces. And I met so many people from Habitat that I didn't know prior.
Yeah.
And we had members, Zahari from Abode Coffee. Her and her mother came down out of nowhere, like, hi, we're here. What can we do? And I just have such a fond memory because she had worked at Eat prior and learned to be a barista, right? Now has her own coffee shop over here in Wildemar. So we understand Wildemar being here in Southern California, right? But we understand who this human is. But I then had chefs from other facilities, winemakers. And it was an interesting spark for me because it allowed me to see that kind of humanity at the table, coming together for others when none of us knew what was going to happen or how we were going to fend for ourselves. But you're very right, Temecula. And, I always have to say where Temecula is. It's in beautiful Southern California, and we are wine country. And Temecula has a beautiful agricultural region. So when Tammy had called me around this, I was able to keep like 12 artisans, so honey, olive oil, and then farmers, Phil and Wani Noble from Sage Mountain out in Anza. That was funny. But it was really cool. All of a sudden you just stop and you're like, wow, there's so many of us doing this.
Yeah.
And that circles back to humanity.
And can I just say,
no, you can't.
Of
course you can't.
I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
That's such an important point of your story and your contribution to that program because you insisted on supporting local agriculturists. And we had other vendors, and they were awesome too, but they were sourcing, wherever they could get food. And so it wasn't necessarily local. So we always felt like your contribution was the premier, and we were always excited every week to see what you'd come up with because we knew that it was, attached to a lot of other small businesses and families right in our community. And that was really important to us. And the county was incredibly impressed with that too.
It's so funny. It's just ingrained with me. And that goes right back to Terrebonne, Oregon. It goes right back to my father, who just instilled in me that it's who he always said in his own way, you vote with your dollar.
Yeah.
Right. Like, who is it you're supporting? That was a really big thing, like at the table on our Sunday discussions. What are you getting out of this? And what was your route and your pathway there? And who did you get to support along the way?
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's so intriguing to understand how you became who you became. So how did you get into Habitat for Humanity? What was your pathway?
Yeah. So like most things in my life, and I'd like to say I was that very strategic person that had a specific path in mind, and it just didn't work out that way for me.
Isn't that funny?
It is
that
funny.
That is so funny. It's we have these plans nope, you're going this way.
But what I am good at is listening to the signs that come my way. And so I first got into nonprofit work, not Habitat, but Boys and Girls Club was my first experience in the nonprofit sector. When my kids were little, and I realized that I had to go back to work full time. And if I was going to go back to work full time, I wanted to know where they were in the afternoon here with me. And so that kind of started my nonprofit path. And so I did that path for probably about 15 years.
But I love that it was your kids that got you there.
Yeah.
It was, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Our babies.
Absolutely. And so at one point, I just realized I wanted to do something else. And by then, you get ingrained in what nonprofit work is really about. And to me, nonprofit work is really about solving the social issues of our day and doing it in such a beautiful, strategic way.
That's huge. I mean, what you just said is so huge.
Yeah. And so I just gave a lot of thought to how I wanted to serve. And why I loved the Boys and Girls Club model and always will, when I learned about Habitat and the way that it can change the trajectory of a family and almost do a paradigm shift within the recipients, I just wanted to be a part of that because I'm very much about self-improvement. I'm very much about taking responsibility and kind of not living in denial and trying to figure out a path to where you want to get to go. And so that's what I love about Habitat.
That is, it's natural.
Yeah.
In you.
Yeah. I think so. I do think so. I very much resonate with what Habitat stands for. And I also love that it serves 70 countries around the world.
70 countries. That is
right. I think so too. So I just love the collective energy. I love being in gatherings with other Habitat professionals because there's just this awareness that I think that we have as an organization that I'm really inspired by.
There is, but I have to say they're also funny. I'm sorry, but like you Habitat for Humanity people crack me up. Like
In what way?
It's any gathering I go to or fundraiser or just I know it was earlier on that I was there more often, but someone's always doing something or pranking someone, and I'm just like, what is going on here? This is hysterical. But I think that in retrospect, with the work you're doing, it's important to keep your energy up that way and to be able to laugh, because otherwise life is, I know these are serious things.
Right.
And I don't take it lightly at all, but you have to be able to laugh sometimes in the face of adversity.
Right. Right.
Okay. So then I've got to ask you a question, because now I'm on this funny roll. And is there, if you could build, if Habitat, your Habitat that you represent,
okay,
if you guys could build anything like a dream fort, don't think electricity, don't think about plumbing.
Okay.
What would that look like? What would that be?
In my mind right now, it's, innovation is something we're really trying to embrace at Habitat as a collective energy, but also as our local affiliate. And one of the needs that I think that we really have are smaller units, but created in a space that is beautiful and has shared space. Those models are being tested all around the U.S. I'm very passionate about it. You know, making it affordable.
Convivial.
Yeah.
Community convivial living.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm getting really excited right now.
That's something I'm really excited about. And I'm hoping that we can find an opportunity to be able to test a development like that sometime in the near future. So in the Riverside affiliate worked in conjunction with the city, and they're not homeownership opportunities.
Which city?
City of Riverside, California. And so they're not, the units that they built are not homeownership opportunity. They're more transitional. I'd rather go to homeownership. But anyway, they're 750 square foot units, but they're built in such an efficient way that it really is a comfortable space for a senior or a single person or a young couple, or whatever it might be.
Are you saying efficiencies as far as green lead, are green lead, like they're built green with green material sustainability?
Definitely environmental is built into the housing for sure, but it's also just the way the space is designed so that it feels a little bigger than it actually is. And so I'm excited about that. And so that's something that we want to explore in the months and years to come.
I think anything that's built with with gardens in the middle,
right?
And more than one family on site and low impact on water. I've even seen some in Europe that have windmills, like for wind turbines for electricity. I find it also fascinating, and I think harnessing the power from our earth is a responsible way to be building, and I'm fascinated by that. So, out of curiosity, if you're looking to build or try this out, I would think you're looking for an investor or another grant. And I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, tell us who Mackenzie Scott is, and I know that Habitat for Humanity received a really lovely grant from Mackenzie Scott.
Right.
So can you tell us who she is and what the grant was, if you're allowed to?
Yeah. So Mackenzie Scott is an American author, but she's also a philanthropist. And sidebar, she happens to be the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos. And so she has gone into the practice of investing significant dollars into pre-selected nonprofit organizations. There's at least, I don't know how she's doing it right now, but at the time that we were awarded funds, there was no grant application process. They did an investigation of their own.
They look for and they find organizations without you actually writing in. And I find that fascinating, but I also find it really responsible. I think it's beautiful.
Right. I do too.
Yeah.
And the funds that come to the organization are unrestricted. So you can spend it on whatever you want, which typically a grant provider, and we appreciate all of them, are very specific on how you spend the funds.
Sure.
But running an operation of a nonprofit nature, that costs money. And sometimes those dollars are not supported. And so having the autonomy to decide how we spend those dollars was an incredible gift to us. And I'm just so grateful to her. And I think she's going to inspire a whole new level of philanthropy in the country, which I think will help us as a sector overall.
I absolutely agree with you. And I want to, I've got my little laptop here. She brought up such a beautiful statement, and I'm just going to shoot myself if I don't have it. I think, okay, no, this is it. And I since we're talking about Mackenzie Scott, I want to share this. There's no question in my mind that anyone's personal wealth is the product of a collective effort and of social structures which present opportunities to some people and obstacles to countless others.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Especially with the temperature of America where we're at.
Right. Wealth can be a blessing and a curse. And I definitely think that she's such a deep and thoughtful thinker and has deliberation in how she's investing her dollars. And so I think that's a wonderful thing. But kind of like what she was talking about, investing in organizations that help people to create those social networks, that sense of community, that coming together. At the end of the day, in the nonprofit sector, to me, it doesn't matter what your program is. It doesn't matter if it's about first aid kits or if it's about cancer care or if it's about houses or whatever it is. The underlying factor that supports it all is the human connection. And
100%.
Having a supporter like Mackenzie Scott that sees that too is really incredible. On the other side of that, greed drives a whole different level of humanity. And
doesn't it though? Kind of what's driving the United States right now. Oh, I'm sorry. I know we're not going to get into the heavy.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah. So I love that she sees that duality, and duality is one of my new favorite words lately. Even when talking about politics, is that two things can be true at the same time, and how do we maneuver through those things? But yeah, she's got an interesting philosophy, and we were fortunate to be gifted by that.
Yeah, and I concur with that statement. I work hard, and I'm not perfect. I don't think any of us are, but I work hard to have balance and to be balanced around those discussions. And even my drop of greed, like ruling the United States. It's a pretty vast statement, right? It's not applicable to everyone and everything. And I always have to kind of step back and rethink and some of the things I'm feeling, right, with some of the information that I'm getting or being given. And I'm deeply honored that we have women like you, that we have women like Mackenzie Scott, that are being thoughtful enough to give to others in a thoughtful way. Because as you said, it's not just like, hey, we don't know who you are, but we're going to give you money because you're of Habitat for Humanity. It was intentional. It seems to me that it was very intentional that you were given X amount of dollars to continue some of the really beautiful work you're doing right here in our valley.
I think so. I mean, I'd love to know what her criteria was. I'd love to know how she determined who she gifted. There were 40 at the time, about 40 affiliates in California, and only 4 received a gift. And the other 3 were kind of, you might expect, LA, San Francisco, and Sacramento, and then Little Temecula. Inland Valley. So I'd love to know what her thought process was. But what I do know is that there was a process. and that she did a deep dive to determine all kinds of things about an organization before she gave the gift. And I think that was responsible giving. I think that in the nonprofit sector, we often get dinged by occasionally a bad player, but that doesn't happen as much as people think. You just hear about it more.
You do hear more about the negative than you do the positive, which is why I made the statement I just made.
Right.
Like I find myself being so judgy, like, okay, there's two sides of the aisle here. And I wish that, I'm just going to say it. I do wish with all my heart, and I pray on this and I meditate on this, that the our politicians, our Washington, D.C., our president, this administration, and Democrats, independents, Republicans could all just reach across the aisle. Like,
right.
I feel that happens through Habitat for Humanity. Maybe we all just need to stop and meditate. Just take a deep breath, do your own version of an Om, and understand that we're all in this together. And I think that's how you were found, or, Habitat for Humanity. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like, my brain is going faster than my mouth. Habitat for Humanity, Inland Valley, right, was chosen to be the recipient of this gift. So I think there's such a lack of humanity, but there's also so much humanity. I'm blown away by the beauty of humanity all the time.
Right. And I think collectively, at least right now, I'm not downplaying the significance of the polar divide politically that's happening in our country. I'm not downplaying some of the perceptions about what's happening on that side of life in general. But I do think that if we incorporate a layer of grace and amplify the positive, because right now what we hear about is the negative, but there's a lot of incredible things that are being done too. And also use that same kind of barometer in our relationships with others, how we see each other, how we understand, everybody's had a different life path. Yeah. And so it's really difficult sometimes for people to identify with a path that they have no experience with whatsoever. But I think that if we did that more often, I think the world would become a softer, better place.
Oh, amen to that. And I love your choice of words. Absolutely, a barometer, and taking a temperature. And it is, grace. Yeah, that is one thing that I believe is lacking. And bringing that to the table helps all and any of us that don't experience the way others live. It's, I think, difficult to be a leader if you can't understand what it's like to not be able to pay a phone bill.
Right.
Or is that a thing, or, your heat or your water bill? Like, if you've never been in that position, how can you really, truly relate to that human being? So
absolutely.
I would like to think we've all been there one time, but
Yeah.
Well, humanity is a beautiful word, and I feel really blessed to know that you're bringing humanity to the table in our valley.
And as you are, you have been such an inspiration to me, to so many people in our little social connections for sure, and in our community at large, but even broader. What you're doing is inspiring many, many people around the world. And so I just want to thank you for that. And it's an honor to spend time with you.
Oh, well, I'm going to say this real quick. I'm going to take that, and I'm just, thank you for that. And for our listeners, as we age, because I've always brushed things like this off for some reason without just embracing it and saying thank you so much. And we all have a place that we get to bring something beautiful forward into our world. And I feel blessed that I get to have those opportunities in this life.
Yeah.
So, I can't believe I just did that. I just did something I do with Gigi, like as we're recording, like a cat meow. That's hysterical. All right. So for our listeners who are so inspired by your work, how can they learn more about Habitat for Humanity, Inland Valley?
Yep.
How can they support your mission?
Okay. So they can go to our website, habitativ for inlandvalley.org, and there's opportunities to volunteer, to attend our events, to support us in any way. But also there's a couple things that are coming up that I just wanted to share about.
Please do.
So I don't think I mentioned too much about our restores. Our restores are home improvement thrift shops.
They're amazing. I'm a big thrifter. I just
They
want
are.
to say, oh my gosh.
We have some stores that have just new items. We have some that are half new, half used. We've diverted tons of trash from local landfills by providing a second life for products.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep. And people can improve their living conditions at a fraction of the cost just by shopping the store. But it's for the general public. It's not just for low-income families. It's for everybody. So you'll find really cool things. But we have a Temecula store that we're relocating to a more prominent location on Jefferson Street in Temecula, California.
Well, let me stop you real quick. So the restore that you have that's
on Enterprise Circle
is moving and that one's closing?
That one's closing.
Okay.
It's closing actually on Thursday of this week. And September 1st, we'll open up the new store on Jefferson in Temecula at
Where
the
on
old
Jefferson?
Rancho Army Navy store.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. I heard a little bit about this. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you buying it? Was the space gifted?
We're not buying it. The family is very philanthropic, and so they've supported us. They want to help us to raise the profile of our programs. And of course, the restores are a social enterprise helping us to raise dollars to support our programs. But also, as I mentioned, you can just improve your living conditions by shopping the store because our prices are amazing. So we want people to come check us out.
They are amazing. And I just want to do a little plug because we get a lot of humans that come in from Los Angeles, from Orange County, up to San Diego, and you're coming out to wine taste. And I get it. And you're coming out to eat. But come a little earlier. And I know so many of you are thrifters. Trust me when I say going into the restore is I go in and I just freeze. I don't know what to do and which area to go to first. And I love going to thrift stores. I love upcycling. And this is such a great place to do it.
Yeah.
And it opens September 1st.
Opens September 1st.
Do you have an address?
I should have an address, but I don't.
We'll figure out.
Sorry.
That's okay. We'll figure out how to put it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great. I would appreciate
I'm
that.
hoping to see many of you down there. Matter of fact, I'd be really interested if y'all could DM me when you go down or take a picture and DM us. What's your social media Instagram handle, if you will, for Habitat Restore here in Temecula?
It's habitat.inlandvalley.
Great. So when you go down on September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever it is, take a picture and tag us.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Can I tell you one last thing?
Yes.
Oh, super quick.
Go ahead. Super quick.
We're also starting 6 houses in Temecula, and those will break ground later on this year. So we're looking for people to come out, to volunteer, to support us, to rally around the families. We need partner advocates and applicants for those 6 houses. So that's an opportunity for people as well.
And how do they get a hold of you? Just
they can catch us on habitativ.org, and there's ways that you can contact us directly to find out, to apply, to volunteer, to sponsor, whatever it might be.
Sure. I love that. I just whispered that. I have to actually say it out loud. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to leave here at the table?
I just appreciate the opportunity. Any time I can spend with you is a gift. And so it's just been an honor to be here with you. And I just applaud everything that you're doing. And thank you so much.
Vice versa, lady. And any minute I get to share coffee with you, cheers. That's almost funny. I just want to say that every conversation, every meal started is a conversation started. Every meal shared. There we go. Every meal shared is a conversation started.
Okay.
And you can tell I've had too much coffee today. Love you, Tammy Marine.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Every meal shared is a conversation started. I want to thank our guest today, and I really want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. It means a lot to all of us. You can find us on Instagram at The Table with Leah and anywhere you listen to your podcast. At the Table is produced by the very mighty Studio 215, programming manager Nate Marriott, our awesome studio manager Brian Umali, and the gorgeous show producer Miss Mari Fuentes. Thanks for being here.